Yes. Well, she has to put it on her mic.
There we go. She should be able to talk.
Sherry, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Just a
Oh.
minute.
Okay.
There. How about that?
Yep, we can hear you. All righty. Okay. Okay. Special meeting to order at 5:01. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To
the flag of the United States
the States of America
and
and
to
to the republic
which stands one nation under God, indivisible.
indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Do you have a motion to set the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
So that was Ed. And that. Okay, call for the question.
Frazier,
Aye.
Hall. Aye. Hart.
Aye.
Noise.
Aye.
Well, Rice.
Aye.
Wells.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got a couple, discussion item, the process, the qualifications for hiring, a superintendent. So, last year we used, let me get the name right here.
McPherson and Jacob.
Yeah, Jacobson. And so what I've given you is just some criteria we had for that superintendent search. So I didn't know if anybody had anything they wanted to add or change or see different in regards to us getting something posted to get some.
So this is like the criteria. Is this, I mean, we're using them?
No. So you can like block out like dates and things like this. It's just, this is what we had decided on when we used them. This was the criteria we went by.
This is all the
them.
stuff from them from last year.
So this is
Dates there.
like a year old.
Okay.
So if there's something that we want to change, we won't be using them. This is just a guideline for what we had asked for last time.
So why wouldn't we use them though? I guess I don't understand why we wouldn't want to have them be part of that.
These are just the guidelines we're looking for in a superintendent.
Right. So,
I
yeah,
personally
so we
wasn't
can,
satisfied with them. I didn't think they did a very good job for us. I really didn't.
And I'll echo what Stacy's saying. We did, and there was a lot of, and even if we were to use them, that puts us even further behind because of their criteria of what their timeline is. That would even put us further behind.
I feel like we're behind without them, even like with or without them.
Yeah, we are
No, we
behind.
are.
We are behind without
You're
them,
absolutely right. Yeah.
but we will be probably further behind if we use them. But I agree with Stacy.
And it wasn't, and it was just the process that they did. It seemed to just drag on before we ever even got to actually picking the finalists, I felt.
I think it was really, really long.
Yeah. And I felt like it was too long and I think they just drug that process out.
I don't think that being long was the problem. I think we were just already so late was the problem.
Oh, yeah, we were.
We-
There's no
and
doubt
so-
about that.
My concern is if we're not going to do that and we're not going to use anybody that's going to, really truly know how to hire a superintendent and we're just going to do it ourselves. I don't know how to do that. I really relied on them a lot when they gave advice. I trust what they say. And I thought there was a lot of value in that. And I really think that if we're already behind, we really need to talk to, or maybe having, the conversation of what we're going to do for all next year until we can do the process at the right timing.
Could I say something, please?
Go ahead.
You're absolutely right, Cody. We are way behind and we're doing this, but our problem is that 2 of our top candidates had already accepted a job by waiting so long and doing that. I feel that we need to advertise and open it up and move forward. As far as finding the right candidate, we have a fantastic HR person, and she knows how to do background checks.
So has this position already been posted, Cynthia? or-
No, sir, it
No?
has not.
Okay.
I did discuss with our board president the option of possibly putting it on our website as it was last year. However, without the board voting and discussing, we decided not to take those steps in case it wasn't something that was approved across the board. I'm waiting for direction today.
Good.
But, you know, I'm sure that there are other areas, you know, if you're looking for a specific individual to fit a position, you can do a broader search across the United States or in the Western region. You know, you put that information out there and get to select candidates that are interested. I do know that we can advertise through CDE and CASB. We can put
In
In
case.
case, yeah.
Yes, yes.
there. We can put it on our website and then we can look also for other avenues where we can register and pay to post the position. And then once, you know, have those candidates report directly back to us, or we can look at a bigger pool and select those that we're interested in. It's just a matter of starting the process
And really, that's no more than what this company did for us.
You're right, Stacy.
They really didn't. I
They
didn't.
advised, I mean, their advice was invaluable, I thought. And it's not, it wasn't their fault that we had many people pull out.
correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Does anybody know how much we paid them?
I was gonna ask that question.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
A lot.
Yeah, I would think, was it upwards of $10,000?
I think it was a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Normally it's a
give or,
percentage of what the salary is for the position.
yeah, give or take.
So that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they're free.
Yeah.
They're free to us right now. We would have them for absolute no cost on their services. The only expenses we'd have to pay would be their travel and their food if they come.
Well, no.
And their paper, there's a lot of expenses, unbounded expenses there.
Yeah, and any kind of printing that they do, we have to repay for that. And all these companies that Cynthia talked about that we would have to pay for to put them out on, we would have to pay them those fees.
Right, but
too.
that $10,000, 10,000 plus service fee is way.
No, yes, you're right there. You are right there.
Cody, we paid, when they advertised and we had to pay to have it advertised, we had to pay that on top of them.
Right, but their service is free.
It's free, yes, somewhat. In other words, they'll send it out, but we pay to have them send it out. What's free will be the background check. They'll call the candidates.
Yeah, what I'm nervous about with this one is that we're so far behind, because I think typically when you start looking for a superintendent, and I'm only learning this, you know, because I came into this last year while we were behind on that superintendent search. And it was February, March when we started the search. You need to start the search around November, December. is when you
You're
need to
right.
So
Yeah.
the problem is now we're starting to search and it's March. If we start in May or June or whatever, you know, what kind of candidates are we going to get? If those candidates already are either under contract, right? When do superintendents accept a contract?
They're usually in May. And may I ask you a question, Cody?
Go ahead.
What would we do if we did this and we waited and we had no superintendent? What would we do next year without a superintendent? We'd be in worse shape then than we are now.
I would either, you know, look, we can see how Tom does for the next 4 months. I mean, if we were really pleased with his performance, have that conversation with him. Would you go for another year? Give us that time to search for a superintendent perfectly the right way with a third-party option, and see if he'd be willing to be an interim until we really need it, until we have the option.
True, but I think we need to look, what's the harm in looking?
Yeah.
If we can't find someone, then we can address that with Tom, but why not look? Because
And I think
No,
word is out there. We've not exactly been not in the spotlight.
Sure.
I think the word is out there, and some superintendents probably maybe are just waiting for it to be posted, or potential superintendents waiting for it to be posted somewhere so that they can
I agree.
possibly apply.
Yeah, anybody in that area, that field already knows that it's coming up. I mean, so.
It's been all over the news. So people know. They're just waiting for us to advertise.
So would you guys still want to use a hiring service that's free?
No,
I would.
I think we can do it as well.
I think we can too. Just
I believe with Cynthia's expertise and being able to
And our
advertise
website.
it on those websites. And like we say, if we don't get any candidates, then, we can say no, and then we can go another avenue. But if there's someone that's out there that's, that maybe
Sure.
we might really like, and he or she is just
Sound like good
waiting
ones.
to apply till we advertise it.
just to kind of put it in perspective too, for BOCES, we're looking for a new executive director. We are advertising, we will close the applications on April 1st. We will do interviews probably April 11th. So they won't even be hired until we probably will have to have a special meeting. If we don't have any candidates for that April 13th meeting. So we're kind of behind the ball too over there.
And I think with the problem with being behind the ball is you're just kind of going to get whatever you end up with, which isn't really what I would.
Yeah, but we don't have to end up with anything.
But
That's right. That's right.
If we don't,
And we cross that bridge when
The
it comes.
good part about that is we as a board can make that decision. If we give it to these people, they make that decision for us.
No, they don't. They advise us, but we make all the decisions.
No, but they're the ones that, from the criterias that we pick, they're the ones that pick the ones for us to interview.
it's like a dating service, sounds like.
Yeah, we don't get to vet all the applications. They weed through these qualifications as to what applications they give us to look at.
And the reality of it is, if we do not find anybody, we do not have to hire them. Then we cross the bridge and ask Mr. Burris if he's willing to stay. But I think that we need to at least attempt a try. And the longer we dally, the shorter our time is.
I mean, I would be afraid if we use this company that they would, even if we told them tomorrow,
Yeah.
they would be a week to 10 days out before they would even get information out. Because they would want all of this and then go through that process again of,
Print it.
putting it out.
Send it out.
I don't think it'd be the same process. I think it would be very different because I don't think they offered her full services. I think it's mostly advice and I don't know. Would you guys be open to talking to?
It was full
Asking them?
service.
Yeah, this was full service.
Would you guys be willing to ask them anything or?
In my personal opinion, after using them this last time, I was not overly impressed.
With how long?
I mean, I liked some of the stuff that they had to share beyond this, but with this directly, I just, and that's like I said, that's just my personal opinion, but I wasn't extremely impressed with how it went. Not that they weren't professional people and that I respect both of these guys that were a part of it because they're very, very good at what they do. But I just, with what we were behind the ball too, but there were also some in there that I'm like, why wasn't this person in our first pool? Why wasn't this person in our top 5? I just,
Yeah, that was what they gave us, what, 10 in one, yeah, in tier, 1 tier and 2 tier. And
They gave us what they thought we wanted, but we didn't get to pick. They did.
yeah. Yeah, that part I didn't, I didn't like, and I just didn't feel like we got our bang for our buck.
Do you have any idea where they advertised for the position, or did they just reach out and recruited and started contacting?
I don't know where they,
Right.
yeah,
I was just wondering.
well, they did do the free ones,
yeah, they did the free ones, yeah, for
but
sure.
we did pay for some that they,
Yes.
it's the nationwide searches.
So if I were to go back and look at those payments, then I can find out where they actually advertised.
You might,
Yeah, because
I would
yeah,
think
it
so.
was- It was
Yeah.
nationwide, I know that.
And you are all in agreement that we can put it on our website, that we are accepting letters of interest and resumes for the position
Mhm.
as it was listed last year. And I can have our IT department just pull up what it is and adjust it to where it serves for this year. And to move forward with that, and then
And that was it too. If we wanted to look over the qualifications, if we want to change things, if we want to tweak anything. But for the most part, if we do our own search, then we're weeding out the ones instead of, and looking at like, well, this person only has this many years, or they have this, that, the other, but we're willing to maybe give them an interview anyway because of something else that they may have, where the interview search is going specifically mostly like, okay, nope, this person only has this, they don't fit the criteria, where we can be a little more flexible, I guess would be the word, if there's somebody that we.
I'm sorry, but it sounds like we could be flexible in hiring a lesser employee.
No, I think that what we're doing is we're trying to find the very best and not worry about what somebody else is saying we need.
Well, basically what we were telling them what we were wanting.
Yep.
And they stuck to it completely. And that's why I was asking for, input on if we want to change some things, if we want to basically say somebody that knows our area, that's either, or we don't even have to, we can, I at one point, I think I wanted 7 years teaching experience, but we lowered that down to 5.
Or superintendent.
Teaching. I wanted somebody that had more classroom time, that kind of, instead of being in the classroom for 3 years and going into administration and being in administration for a while, it was just one of those things, but now it's 5 years. So, it was just, we can tweak those
Do you
things.
have a policy currently set for the qualifications for superintendent?
I do not believe we have one, do we?
I think we do. Yeah. Yeah.
And it hasn't been updated since 2011.
Okay.
So I would say the first order of business in looking at what you want to have the qualifications be is to adjust that policy and bring it for an update as we are advertising and recruiting. That way, at least there's a policy set on what are your requirements. I reviewed it just today, and it does need to be updated. There's a few vague words in there. It says required, it says preferred, and
I think that's what we said in our thing to McPherson too. We prefer.
Yeah, it does say preferred.
It's like is it CBA? I don't remember that policy. CBA, the policy CBA. Yeah. I thought I had that with me, but I do not.
This one doesn't say preferred. It says certifiable for Colorado administrative license.
Yeah, we're talking about these.
Yeah, that other one's not
Yeah,
preferred. It's
but if you have these, then you're certifiable to get this. Really, you have 5 years experience as a teacher and you're asking for 5 years experience as a superintendent. You've got 10 years of experience in education already.
Oh,
Mhm.
well, And who's gonna go from teacher to superintendent?
Yeah, exactly.
Very
And,
true, very
there's-
true, Lane.
There's 5 years or so of principal at least.
Yeah.
Over top.
Yeah.
It says principal or equivalent to deputy superintendent. principal.
Oh, yeah, it says at the end.
Yeah.
Equivalent.
And that's the requirement that you went by last year when you recruited.
Mhm.
I haven't seen one.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with Cynthia. We do need to update that policy, but I don't know that we can update that and do this at the same time. That's kind of.
We can follow what you followed last year. I would just suggest that as we are doing this, that you also update your
Right,
policy. So
right.
we have a more,
Up to date.
Up-to-date one, yeah.
Specific guideline to follow. This was
And-
last year, so we can also.
We can also put in their preferred qualifications, not like mandatory qualifications. So that way it's not, so it kind of leaves some room for if somebody's like, well, somebody might be very qualified, but they just missed it by one thing.
Yeah.
And, but if we said, preferred, I don't know how you'd word that, but
Preferred qualifications.
Yep.
See a lot of things in here that's gonna throw a lot of people out that are in that position in their career, basically. I mean, there's nothing here that's really out there as far as reaching for the qualification, I don't think. So I think they're all pretty basic.
I can most definitely use this to begin the advertisement. And as those applicants or letters of interest resumes start coming in, then I can house them, hold them. At least let you know where we're at as far as interest.
right, okay,
Yeah, I think.
yeah.
And that part is what to me, Cody, that's what we have a lot more control over. If they're housed here, we get to see every single one of them. And we as a board, or, we come in individually and look at those. We can say, I like this one, I'd like to look at this one, where this company just took that totally out of there. Because
What if-
sometimes there are people that apply for these jobs that don't necessarily specifically meet all these qualifications, but once you dig into their background or check some references or look a little deeper, they might be a perfect fit.
Just theoretically, what if we talked to these people and they said, oh yeah, we'll give you every single applicant. We were just making it easier for you the first time and having it based on qualification. What if they just said, yeah, like we were doing you a service, but if you want us to send you every single application, we certainly can. I mean, they are a service. We're hiring them. I almost could guarantee you they'd send us every applicant if we wanted. And then if that's the case, then I really trusted their advice. I did see how long, the process took a long, long time. And we had applicants pulling like crazy.
Mhm.
But I value what they said really well. I mean, Norman Riddle, is it Riddle? Riddle.
Ritter.
Ritter. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's doctorate. This is what he does for a living.
Mhm.
And I'm a realtor. So I trust his advice far more than what I know.
Well, and that's what I said, which was no offense to them or their knowledge and what they can do.
Uh-huh.
But,
So I mean, if they're willing to come down on some of that stuff and make it to where we have a little more control, I think I would value that quite a bit.
Cody, one thing that you said is that they're professionals. Yes, they have their doctorates. They're brilliant. Yes, most people who have doctorates is very smart.
Yep.
And you said you're just a realtor, but the reality of it is you understand our community. They do not.
So I have the final say
much
though.
more, you have much more of an end than they have. What if they
Right.
called out somebody that would be a perfect fit and us not know it?
I think that's why we still have the ability to decide as a board. But, and then, I mean, Paul Reich doesn't live very far away. Where does he live?
Tell you what.
Tell you right. He's an awesome person. We're best friends. Well, we're not best friends, but we're good friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, I've been on many boards with him, but
I
But
trust
he's
their
also-
professional advice with maybe backed with our knowledge, area knowledge and expertise, So,
I just feel like if we go with them, that we're putting it
Even
another
further behind.
10 days to 2 weeks back. I really do, and I feel like,
Easily,
yeah, I feel like if we do it ourselves, we can start tomorrow.
and I wasn't in on this process when I went through before, Cody, but what kind of advice would they?
they got into
I guess.
detail on things that we should look for as far as like a red flag, like to bring up, this would be one of my concerns with hiring this, or and they did all the background check. They did, they did quite a bit, I thought, but how did you feel?
I just feel like they didn't do any more than what Cynthia could
That's
do.
what I'm thinking too.
Just because, I mean, that's her field of expertise is HR and reference checks and, she knows the kind of questions you can and can't ask a reference. And if you can call a previous employer, I mean, she knows all those laws and all those rules as far as doing those kinds of things.
And no offense to Cynthia, but she's not really been in education long. Maybe somebody with more of an education hiring background would know what to look for in a superintendent. Because she does.
I don't agree.
Hiring, but
I don't
no.
agree. Cindy has a fantastic background in education. Look what she's done in 6 months. I disagree with you totally.
Okay.
She is totally
No offense,
awesome
Cindy.
with education.
Cody was ready to back all of you last week.
I know.
Yeah, I just feel like we have got to, that has been one of my frustrations in the district for multiple years, is that we're always behind the 8 ball. Whether we're hiring a superintendent, whether we're hiring a principal, whether we're hiring a teacher, whether we're hiring a para, a bus driver, a custodian, it always seems like we're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah,
And until we can figure out how to get in front of that, and we're still gonna be lagging behind.
The only way to get in front of that is not to have turnover.
Well, yeah, and that's not gonna happen, but.
And that's going to take some time and some
So
money.
that you can plan that out better, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Unfortunately, we don't have that
also,
luxury
we
right now.
really need to focus and look within the district.
Mhm.
We need to hire and promote from within those individuals and people who have spent their careers here supporting our district, making a difference in our district, who are qualified and willing to be in those positions.
Absolutely.
That should be our main focus, are those, instead of looking outside of the community, outside of Colorado even, or, even the Four Corners, bringing someone, relocating them here and expecting them to know this diverse culture and our area, and then mold, to help. Why aren't we focusing on our internal staffing to promote from within? Definitely need to keep that into consideration as well.
And that's kind of where I mentioned, like, did we want to change it where it's like somebody that, that lives in like this southwest corner that actually knows that maybe even might be part of like, even, part of our state district, Pagosa, Ignacio, Bayfield, Telluride, Silverton, all these places. But the thing with that is, anybody that's looking for a superintendent, they're looking too. And
Look at all of them just on this.
Yeah. And Sherry, to piggyback on that, we don't have to stay just within, and I agree with Cindy, we need to be internal if we can be. But the people who have been here and knows it and moved out, look at Ember. She understands our culture. Look at Tom. He understands our culture, and they're willing to come back. So, but I do think that we need someone that understands our unique needs.
Mhm. And nothing sugar coated either. Like, this is
Right.
this is who we really are. This is where we'd like to be, but that's going to take a lot of years.
And help us get there.
It's not going to.
In our policy for recruiting a superintendent, it does mention that there is a committee, selection committee. I don't know if that's something that you would consider doing or want to consider doing, having a committee put together for the interview and selection. But that might be something that you need to think about.
We did that with Lori and we did that with Risha, but we did not do that with Alex.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is a policy as well for the selection, which hasn't been updated since 2011 either.
Yeah, 2011. Okay. So that might be a policy we just might want to take a look at.
We could put that on the work session for April, which would give us first reading in April and then another discussion opportunity. And then it would be approved in May.
Just because it's at the forefront, whether we end up, having somebody before that or not, just so that we can have it kind of
Okay,
caught up.
I'll put that for April.
Advertising this,
Okay.
placing it on our website, so anyone who, as like you mentioned, is aware that we have the opening and we will start recruiting, if they can look at our website, maybe they have been looking at our website. I'll update it there. Provide it with the 3 areas that it's suggested, and then I'll start looking at the webs or the areas where we can pay to have the recruitment that, or the advertisement specifically for superintendents. And what the cost is, and what our recruiter used last time. And I'm very familiar with doing it that way.
I think if we get a lot of applicants that look like that I would prefer not to pay somebody if we can keep from it. But I mean, if it ends up we only get like 3 applicants.
How long would you want to wait until you decided to? Do that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we've got to look at these dates.
Yeah, I mean, these dates are fairly close to,
Could I throw something out? If we're looking at dates, we need to be considerate that if a superintendent's already working for a school district, if we want that person, we have to give that person time to turn in her resignation to that district so they can find somebody. I mean, we're not only are we under a timeline, but if we look at somebody that's already employed, just think what that school district is under. So we need to be considerate of other things and people other than ourselves.
here, look at my calendar here.
I don't know if Pagosa is advertising yet or open, but I understand that they're have an opening there too. So you're gonna get people, you're gonna get people from around the area that's looking at Southwest Colorado area. And Pagosa is a way different district than Cortez, as I understand. But I would see that you're gonna get a lot of people that, when there's several openings in one area like that, Bayfield, I don't know how they're gonna handle theirs. Yeah, they're gonna.
Consolidated just recently.
Well, if we closed it on April 1st, that would give us just over 3 weeks. I don't know what the norm is as far as, but if they're looking, they're probably checking daily and.
I would agree.
That would be very encouraging if we had several applicants to choose from by April 1st.
I would say
Oh,
by
you're
the
saying I'm being a little
31st of
optimistic?
March, because, well,
So,
we got to remember, people, that week is the week of spring break here. And getting and making sure, because we ran into that with bids. We got to make sure it's a day that we're open and we're here to accept applications.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Yep. I see exactly what you're saying.
So maybe we should go April 4th. I don't know what you guys' plans are for spring break.
3.
I recommend April 4th because it doesn't matter what their plans are, they still need a break.
Mhm.
No, but I mean, as far as someone's here at the administration.
right.
building.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll be gone.
Yeah.
The 30th and 30th. Is it the last week in
21st and 25th.
21st? 25th? Okay. Okay, 24th.
Great, right?
No,
It's the last weekend.
yeah, it's the 28th through the 1st.
Okay, so
Right.
we're actually closed that Wednesday,
That's-
Thursday, right? Of spring break?
Yeah, we could make the,
But random people will take it off.
Oh, okay.
oh, okay. I started saying we could make it
Find out
28th,
that way, but-
29th.
Yeah, if that's the case, the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say it's updated and put out there beginning the 14th. So the week of the 14th, the week of the 21st, and the week of the 28th.
Mhm.
I think, and when is the work session? The 5th of April is our next.
April 5th.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I would recommend that we advertise and through April 8th with an update to the board on the 5th of any candidates that we receive to that. We can say it's closed on the 8th. That would give us a full month from Monday or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then,
I guess I have to ask, why wait that long?
I don't know, just leave it open for, depending on how general and how far out we advertise.
I'm just wondering
Well,
why. wait
what if we,
to accept applications that long?
it would be easier to say until the 4th, but we can extend it to the 8th if we don't have enough applications. Instead of saying until the 8th, but then have like 50 applicants by the 29th. We're like, oh, we probably could have,
We haven't received any qualified applicants by the 4th.
then we can extend it.
Just keep it open.
Yeah.
Open until filled.
right.
Yeah.
Because that gives us time to background check and look at, and then possibly interview. Then if we don't find somebody we like, then it's still open until we announce it's filled. I like that, Cindy. Thank you.
And then were you mentioning that we would have like updates, like maybe weekly of how many we've gotten, or I know you mentioned something about the work session, like we could have some kind of an update at the work session.
I would be happy to update you as they arrive,
Okay, daily.
especially if you're qualified.
Okay, okay. And I know, Cody, that you're pretty adamant about using the search committee,
I would.
but are you, okay,
Am I what?
oh, I was gonna say, are you willing to sway a little bit just to get this put out there and try it on our own?
I mean, we could advertise well, but I still really value that advice. I mean, to me, the advice was like the most important part. You know, I know Cindy knows how to do a lot of that kind of stuff, but as far as hiring a superintendent with that is qualified in what we need, hearing that advice from these people who have done it before many times, I think that's where I find the value. So.
And I'm wondering if we can't do it this way and still get that same advice from them.
I can.
You know, we're doing the work.
Yep.
We don't have, we have a contract that says that they will do it for free, but they will also do as little or as much as we ask them to.
Yeah.
And I can talk to Paul and make sure, or Sherry can, I can send her his.
I have his information.
Okay,
Or his
so
email.
just a bit, but you have to also understand, they may be behind the 8 ball be too busy to work with us too.
It could be.
Yep.
I mean, they may be eyeball deep in all of this process too.
Right. Because there, across the state, there have been a ton of superintendents resign or be fired.
Okay, well, Ed, do you have any other comments?
So we're looking at April 4th then? So
Okay, so you're
looking at-
Stacy, do you have? Jeanette,
We're gonna
Lane, are
close
you good
on
with
April 4th.
and then extend it if need be.
Yeah. And then select finalists by at the work session?
You know, I don't know that we need to pin it down to a number. We need to pin it down to qualifications. I mean, what if we only get 3 applicants and all 3 of them are fantastic? Do we want to extend it then?
No.
No, I mean. We just have the opportunity to extend if we need
Right.
to.
Right.
Because we could potentially. Because. Looks finalist to interview. So we should have most of those coming into us as they come in. So we should kind of be well aware and we can all be kind of jotting down our pros, cons, yes, nos. And bring that to our work session on the 5th. Or is that something that needs to be done privately?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask.
I think we need an executive session when we discuss candidates.
Yeah.
But after
and
we
then-
name them, as finalists, then we have to do everything in open session.
Okay. And so we can maybe have a work session on the 5th to maybe have some finalists set up, maybe even for interviews in April, I would say.
Yes.
And if we decide to have another committee, like a subcommittee, either like a administration staff committee or a community committee, the DAC committee, I mean, I don't know, whichever, if we want to have some other committees that do some interviewing as well. If that's what you choose,
I recommend that we do an executive session at our work session to do our discussion in private. And then after we name the finalists, there's nothing, there can be no executive sessions. Deb might still have a list of the names who did the interviews the last time, and that would speed up the process.
Of the people that were on the committees, you mean?
Correct. I don't know if I still have it or not. I tend to delete, but I can look and see. But I bet Deb has it in a file somewhere.
Yeah, we might have, but I mean, at least the people, I mean, like, at least the subcommittees, like I said, like. either
Right. We
committee
have
or-
the names and she can call them and see if they're interested in doing it this time.
Yeah, it might be in the computer. I was on one of the committees. I can tell you who was on that one.
For the first round of
Oh,
interviews?
okay. Oh, you weren't here yet then. Well, Phyllis saved everything, so I bet you've got it somewhere.
Okay, so then at the workshop on the 5th, we would discuss when we want to try to set up interviews on the 5th.
We need a finalist, a list of finalists before we set up interviews.
That's what I'm asking. Are we going to try to have it? Do we want to have the finalists chosen by the 5th in this executive session?
The 5th is the work session, so have the executive session during the work session?
Before the work session?
I would say, yes, do that
Mhm.
with discussion,
Mhm.
right? If we have qualified candidates.
Right, okay, if we have, okay.
Can we have an executive session during a work session?
Yes, we can. We cannot vote.
I
but we
think as
can
long
have
as it's
executive session.
advertised.
Might have to.
Or call it a special meeting?
Special meeting.
Special meeting?
instead.
Special meeting,
Just
yeah.
change it from a work session to a special meeting.
Okay.
But aren't we voting on who the finalists?
Well, I think we should already have, Cindy's gonna get that to us, and so we should all be be doing our homework and kind of be, going through the applicants to where we could be pretty ready on the 5th. I mean, depending on how many we get and whatnot, to where we can have a discussion at an
If they're all
executive session.
qualified, if all of the candidates are qualified, and say there's 5 candidates, then we should interview all of them.
Mhm.
They meet the minimum qualifications for the position.
Yes, that sounds good.
You end up with 25 applicants, that'd be wonderful. Then we're going to choose the top.
Yeah, we need to narrow it down, and that's where that
But
executive session.
have 5 applicants and all 5 are actually qualified, then we should name all 5 as finalists and take the time to interview all 5 applicants. I would recommend that.
So, so potentially, the 13th, that was at our meeting. April 19th would be our board meeting.
Okay, that's 3.
April 27th. would be-
In our current policy, which was updated November 16th, 2021, on the recruitment of superintendent, it does say records submitted to the district by an applicant for a superintendent position shall remain confidential until the applicant becomes a finalist for the position. If only 3 or fewer candidates possess the minimum qualifications for the position, said candidates are all considered finalists. A list of all finalists being considered for the position shall be made public by the board at least 14 days prior to appointing one of the finalists to fill the position. No offer shall be made prior to this. This is CBB. I would recommend that we do this, and then if we have any questions, this should say how we do this process. It does say records submitted to the district by an applicant for a superintendent position shall remain confidential until the applicant becomes a finalist for the position. So confidential would mean public, providing that to the public until it's been made.
Right.
But it is, I would be able to share the applicant with the board.
Right. We just wouldn't be able to share any of that with anybody else at all.
Correct.
Okay. So we've narrowed it down to applications due the 4th, have our work session with a possible executive session with the special meeting on the 5th. Do we want to go ahead and try to set up a date for possible interviews, or do we want to wait until that special meeting to discuss that?
Well, where's that 14 days come in then?
And once we announce the
It
finalists.
comes in after we make a decision. So if we have committees doing the interviews, that would have to be like on a Friday or a Saturday, the 9th maybe. And then on the 9th, we can make a decision. And then we have to wait 14 days. So that would be April 30th. Or 25th, basically.
Did you say the 9th?
We could do the 9th.
Well, I just thought that's what you said. Is that what you said?
I'm just saying that if we have committees, we need to do it on a Saturday.
Okay.
We did it in the evenings. last
did.
time.
Mm-hmm.
No, we can do it anytime. I had forgot that, but we have done it in the evenings.
Yeah, I don't think the 9th is a good day to
No.
ask the community to. I think we'll get better response from community and staff employees on the evening instead of a Saturday.
Okay. We need to stay away from Wednesdays because that's church night. And I believe, if I'm correct, the 12th is city council night.
It is. And so
Is our meeting.
would it be fair to say, depending on how many applicants we have and whatnot, that we could be prepared to announce finalists on the 5th at the special meeting?
Yes, we can do that.
Following the executive session
Mm-hmm,
and discussion.
mm-hmm.
Then we come out and announce it at our meeting, at our special meeting on the 5th. After that, everything has to be in public.
Because then that's where we would wait the 14 days. So we-
No.
So on the 5th, you
No.
announce the finalists. Beginning on the 6th, I can start scheduling interviews with those finalists, depending upon their availability, for interviews to commence Monday, the 11th of April. If we're having a committee initial first round of interviews as early as Monday, the 11th, and that will be followed up with the finalist round, correct?
Mhm.
So that may be a week later, 18th.
That's not.
Wait. No, I'm not following you, Cindy,
Like-
because if we've already announced our finalists on the 5th, then we could interview on the 11th, and we could actually announce when we come out on the 11th, who our pick is, and then we would have to wait
We have to
14
wait
days.
No, we wait
No,
the
no,
14
no,
days
no.
once we announce our finalists.
No, we have to announce
It'll be
14
announced
days
on the
after
5th.
we announce who our pick is.
No, Sherry, that's not right.
No?
No.
Pull up CBB and review CBB. And the
It's a
14
state law.
days-
It doesn't matter what our policy says.
Right,
It's state law.
The policy is following state law.
Well, it's how old is the policy?
It's only a year old.
November
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
If we announce our finalists on the 15th, that's when we have to wait 14 days.
On the 5th.
You mean the 5th?
On the 5th, I'm
Oh, I was
sorry.
like, oh, somebody threw the 15th.
I'm
in
looking
there.
I'm looking at the 5.
Okay.
Okay, well, I know that when I did it with Risha, Kristen told me that I had to wait 14 days before we could hire her. We announced it that she was our final pick. And then we had to wait 14 days. That's the direction that Kristen gave me.
It's basically following the same thing that we just went through with the interim.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Once we announce.
I don't have my law book, nor do I have access to the website. So I'm just telling you the way Kristen led me through it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm saying if for some reason we are prepared to announce finalists on the 5th, and say we just only have to wait the 14 days to choose our superintendent.
And make a selection.
Yeah, so we would do interviews, say the 11th or somewhere in that.
And then announce it at our work meeting, our
Yes,
regular
and
meeting.
that's what I was thinking. If we'll be able to, if we can make an announcement at our the 19th
Right,
board meeting.
works for me.
With the start date of July 1st, 2022.
Right.
Yeah, I think that that timeline puts us a little bit ahead of the ballgame, but I think it still gives us time to get it done in a pretty, I think a pretty Not too fast, but gives us enough time.
What was the expected start date you gave?
July 1st, 2022.
However, this could be extended if unsatisfactory or unqualified candidate.
Oh, right. Yeah. All of this is subject to qualified candidates. This is a whole subject to if we have some qualified candidates. Okay.
Did you want to also add CBB to the work session for review in April?
You know, as long as it's in our, we're thinking about it, let's go ahead. I mean, it doesn't hurt. So just go ahead and add it in there. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going by what we've got here, so close date of applications, April 4th.
Mhm.
Select finalists to interview April 5th. Is that right?
Mhm. And then Cindy will start,
Interviews
yeah,
on the 11th.
or close there too, just somewhere, probably the week of the 11th.
Schedule availability of the applicants and the committee. Because we need to put the committee together and find availability for an interview.
And select on
say
the 19th.
the week of the 11th. If you announce a finalist on the 5th, I don't think anybody would be available to be here by the 7th or, you know, we need.
Unless they were local,
Yeah.
if they were local. But
Yeah. Local is the only way.
So the week of April 11th, we could conduct, you know, pinpoint and determine a date to conduct the interviews. Depending on how many finalists we have, we may use 2 days. We may, you know, have two sessions of interviews depending.
yeah, depending on how many.
Allow at least the very minimum an hour for each applicant.
Right.
So we might need 2 days,
Mhm.
depending on how many qualified applicants we select as finalists. But not so far out as the 14th or 15th, because I would still need
Right.
at
No.
least 2 to 3 work days to conduct my due diligence following
Right.
prior to the selection.
Mhm. Okay.
So you're saying interviews the week of the 11th?
Mhm.
I don't know which day.
Yeah, it's Monday, yeah, the week of the 11th. How's everybody feel about that?
So how many committees are we looking at?
Last time there was 3, right?
Right,
Mhm. There was community, administrator, staff, and board.
Right.
Been people on the committee?
there was
Yeah,
3 different committees.
3 different types of committees. Had a board
Each
committee.
person went to those 3 committees.
So we, as a board, were in one, and then say, a community was in the gym, and administrator staff were in one of the other rooms. And they just kind of did like a round robin kind of.
Every hour they would switch
So yeah, it was like
interviewers.
a 4-hour process.
Yeah. If we have 3 or 4 people, it'd be a 4-hour
They're
process.
interviewing with different committees, you know, go to this one, go to this one, go to that one. I mean, we can just have 2 committees, and we can
Which one do you want to do? Do you
open
want
to
to combine
recommendations or suggestions.
You don't like that?
combine
What's that? You
staff
don't like
and
that?
community?
No,
I think it's.
I've been,
It's for the what?
I've been part of.
That's not, no, I'm with.
And we don't have
It's
to
like
have.
a car wash, I mean,
I'm like, that sounds, intense.
yeah. It-
I mean, by law, we don't have to have committees.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Our policy recommends that we do.
Okay.
Following our
Then we need to follow that.
I recommend that we do, just
I like
because,
it.
having that in depth of, you know, 3 separate sections.
Mhm.
We can just make it 2.
That's draining.
I agree. I thought it was very.
Not just the interview, but all, everybody.
Oh,
Rather have a panel of 10 people than have 4 hours of 3 separate sections.
so you're saying combine board and everybody else into one panel?
Now we need to make sure that there's some extensive interview training for each one of those committees, because there's laws you have to follow in
Right.
the interview
Mhm.
process. And if we're gonna have 3 separate committees doing this, I'm gonna need to spend some time with each one of those committees to make sure that they know the process and they know the law.
And then you'd have to be in there with them during
And I
that
was just thinking
interview.
of that too,
and, yeah,
how am I going to
Make sure they follow procedures.
Yeah, we all had the same packets, pretty much.
They ask the same questions.
And I agree. I mean, in my background, I really believe that Cynthia needs to be in this process of the interviews to make sure that we are following the laws, following the rules of an interview process, because that's one way that you can really get in a lot of trouble if you don't have that. And our HR person wasn't involved in the last one.
No. What
No pressure.
what you should do is have however many committees you have, the board needs to be in a committee by themselves. Because we will be asking them the same questions. We need to hear the same answers. But in the past, we had each group come in and give us all of their notes and tell us the one they recommended. And then it was the board's decision to hire the one that they felt was the most viable.
Well, let's look at it this way then. Let's do one committee of staff and community people on one day where Cindy can attend and be a part of that. And then the next day would be the board only, where Cindy can also be a part of that to make sure that we're doing the correct things. Just like we did when she was in with the interim, where she
Works
was,
for me.
let's break it down to 2 days then. To where we have that backing from the person who knows what can and can't happen.
Right. I
You're gonna
agree,
have
because
applicants coming in that are gonna stay here for 2 days for that?
We need to make sure that we provide accommodations for them.
Yeah.
We bring them in and
Yeah.
like them.
Yeah, I mean-
That's a lot to ask.
We do
everybody.
one, say, I don't know how hard this would be for some of us, but say 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, with a few hours in between.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Depends
that
on-
would work, because the reality of it is that if some of them have a job, we're asking them to miss 2 days of work.
Yeah,
No.
1 day. Oh, you mean the interview people?
No, I'm talking about the applicants.
Everybody.
They would only have
Everybody
to miss 1 day or part of a day, but Yeah.
If we did it all in one day, but if we
Yeah.
did it over 2 days, our applicants would miss 2 days of work.
right. We could do it all in 1 day though.
It
I
really
mean-
all depends on how many applicants we
Yeah.
have
Mhm.
made as finalists.
Right.
Right.
If we have 3, you bet, we can do it in 1 day. If we have 6, no.
Yeah.
That's too much to ask for the committees, for yourselves. It's overwhelming, it's draining, it's hard to give each applicant the attention that they deserve.
I think this is something too that can be hashed out or finalized once we know how many we
I
have.
agree. I
I
totally
agree.
We'll also be able to determine the dates.
Mhm.
And then also between now and then, we need to establish the committee, correct? So their availability will be determined, or, our dates will be determined upon their availability, and their availability will be determined by their selection. They're looking for community and staff involvement on this committee. You will need to have availability for, say, 2 evenings during this week, or a full day this week, so.
Well, each committee won't have to have the whole day, because one committee will interview, unless you're interviewing them all at the same time.
I've been on committees.
Cindy can only be one
Principal
person.
all day.
Yeah,
It's all day thing.
yeah.
That's always during the week,
Yeah.
weekday. But it's all
That
day.
doesn't work for Lane.
Yeah, that'll be tough. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. How about?
Right.
It's just, yeah. I don't want to worry about something that's not worth worrying about yet.
That's right.
Yep.
We gotta get through the first part.
Kind of the advertisement.
Yeah, we gotta get them. Step
So
one.
are we all, are
advertise.
we good with these dates then?
I think so, yeah.
I
Subject
subject to HR symposium scheduled for the 12th out of town, but I can reschedule that.
No.
Problem.
No,
Precedent.
No, we will work around that.
But it's,
no, we'll work around that, Cindy. Absolutely.
it's in Lone Tree, Colorado. So I don't think it's just a one day.
No.
I can
No.
reschedule.
No,
It's up by the end of the
Okay. So looking
month.
at
What's that
probably
last date, April 19th?
It's gotta be the day.
Monday, the 11th, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Those are the days you're gone, is Wednesday, Thursday,
just-
It's right.
Yours, I say, didn't you have travel time and maybe overnight time?
Unless you're
or-
flying.
yeah,
I said I can reschedule this
Well,
for that week.
we would prefer you not, but check your schedule, like, and we can work around that. I mean, if it's something that you're like, oh, I can just be gone for this amount of time and we can work it around that.
right. Yeah, if anybody deserves some time off, it's you and Jim.
This is us, HR.
It's training. It's not so much time off.
Oh, my gosh, it's not, oh. I would rather you go have fun. I was going to go with you. Training, then I'm going to stay
Okay, so
home.
subject to, we'll just, subject to your
This is a
recommendations that week, so.
Okay.
Okay. All righty.
I'm very optimistic in this process.
Yes, okay. Okay, moving on to action item, to accept the contract for interim superintendent, which all of you should have received that. So if there's no changes or any questions or concerns or comments.
Oh, we have to have a motion.
Oh, do I hear a motion to accept the contract for the interim superintendent?
I have a question about it though. Okay.
We have to make a motion first. I make a motion to accept the contract for the interim superintendent.
I second it.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Jeanette.
Well, when I went through it all, Tom's name is listed as Tom Burris. And in the legal contract, do you not have to have their whole legal name?
Right, it should be Harry T. Burris.
Yeah,
That should be Harry T. Burris. Okay. Mm-hmm.
and there's several places that needs to be changed in.
Okay. Okay. Do we want to accept the contract with that change in it? And I will have them make those changes and send it over.
I move that we accept the contract with that change in it.
Second.
Okay.
Now, do I
Okay.
have to make a?
Wait,
No,
that's two motions. That's two motions in one
Already have a
thing.
motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor.
Just going to amend it.
Okay, so I need to make,
Okay.
I make a motion to amend my original motion to accept the interim contract with the changes to Tom Burris's name to his legal name,
Harry T.
which is Harry T. Burris.
Harry J.
Harry G. Burris.
And I will second your amendment.
Everybody else okay with everything except for, and thank you for that, Jeanette, because I didn't. Okay, well, Deb, can you call for the question?
And we're voting on the amended motion.
Mhm.
You're voting on the amendment only, not the amended motion.
Okay. Frazier,
Aye.
Hall,
I,
Hart,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye. Oh, Wells.
Aye.
it was written funny over here, sorry.
No worries.
Sorry.
So now you're voting on the main motion as amended.
Go ahead.
okay,
Frazier,
Aye.
Hall,
I,
Hart,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Okay. Adjourn this meeting at 6:11. And if everybody can get their